Captain Velinor had commanded research vessels for over 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The Harmony's Promise shuddered violently as another explosion tore through her hull, sending him crashing against his command. Chair! Emergency lights bathed the bridge in an eerie red glow, while alarms screamed warnings that everyone already knew they were dying. "Hull breach on Deck 7, shouted Science Officer Marilyn, her usually steady voice cracking with panic. She frantically worked her console, trying to seal the rupture before they lost atmosphere completely. Containment fields are failing. Chief Engineer Kelleran stumbled across the tilting deck, her silver Zilani skin now pale with fear. "Captain, we've lost main engines entirely. The power core is fluctuating wildly, and give you maybe 2 hours. On backup systems before life support fails." Velinor forced himself to remain calm, even as his ship continued its death spiral. Through the main viewport, he could see the 3 Korthok warships approaching with predatory patience. Each vessel was easily 4 times the size of his research ship, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. Designed for one purpose: total destruction. The Korthok were nightmare creatures from the galaxy's worst legends. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with thick armored skin and razor-sharp claws, they had terrorized peaceful species for centuries. They took no prisoners except as slaves, showed no mercy except to their own kind, and viewed diplomacy as weakness to be exploited. "Sir, they're hailing us," reported Communications Officer Drennock, his hands shaking as he worked his console. "Screen," Velinor ordered, though he already knew what he would see. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the massive form of a Korthok commander, his scarred face twisted into what might have been a smile, showing rows of needle-sharp teeth. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stone. "Zilani vessel, this is War Captain, the Xul of the Crimson Fang. You will prepare to be boarded. Your crew will be processed for slavery or food, depending on their usefulness. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Cut off before Velinor could respond. Round him, his crew of 30 scientists and researchers looked to him with desperate hope. These were not warriors. They were explorers, teachers, and healers who had dedicated their lives to expanding knowledge and understanding between species. "Options?" Velinor asked quietly. Tactical Officer Grinnos shook his head grimly. "Sir, we have no weapons beyond basic defensive systems. Our diplomatic status means nothing to the Korthok. They've already jammed our communications with Council Space." Velinor closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of his crew, their families back home, and the important research data they carried. The Harmony's Promise had been studying ancient ruins on the galaxy's rim, hoping to unlock secrets of the long-vanished precursor civilization. All of that would be lost, along with their lives.
"Right," Science Officer Marilyn called out suddenly.
"Sir, I'm detecting a narrow communications window. The Korthok jamming has a gap in the lower frequencies. We could send a distress signal, but it would be weak and only reach a limited area." "How limited?" Velinor asked, hope flickering in. His chest. "Maybe a dozen systems at most. And sir, dot. Most of them are uninhabited or of only primitive civilizations." Velinor made his decision. "Send the distress signal on all available frequencies. Coordinates and... He paused, remembering the recent survey report. "Include coordinates for that world. The exploration team tagged last month. The one with the unusual energy signatures." "You mean Earth, sir?" Marilyn asked, her expression puzzled. "But the survey team classified it as a primitive world. They've barely achieved spaceflight." "Then they'll be our only hope," Velinor replied as another explosion rocked the ship. "I'll send it now, before the Korthok finish jamming our systems." Billions of kilometers away, Lieutenant Hyenwu was finishing his night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station. The facility, hidden deep beneath the Korean mountains, was humanity's first line of defense against potential threats from space. Most nights he monitored routine satellite communications and tracked space debris. Tonight was different. His console erupted with activity as an alien transmission punched through Earth's detection grid. The signal was weak and fragmented, but the mathematical patterns were unmistakable. This was intelligent communication from beyond the solar system. Holy... Hyenwu caught himself before cursing. His hands flew over his controls, just trying to clean up the signal and run it through the translation protocols that Earth's scientists had developed for this exact scenario. The message gradually became clear, and Hyenwu felt his blood turn to ice. Peaceful aliens under attack by hostile forces, requesting immediate assistance. The coordinates placed them 3 days away at humanity's maximum faster-than-light velocity. He grabbed the emergency communicator with shaking hands. "Control, this is Station 7. We have a Code 1 situation. I repeat, Code 1. Within minutes, the underground facility buzzed with activity. Colonel G1 burst through the communications center doors, still fastening her uniform jacket. She had been awakened from deep sleep, but her eyes were sharp and focused. "Show me," she ordered. Hyenwu played the translated message, watching. As G1's expression grew more serious with each word, when it finished, she stood silent for a long moment, processing the implications. "Ma'am," Hyenwu said quietly, "what do we do? Our first contact protocols never covered anything like this." G1 looked at the young lieutenant, then at the star chart showing the aliens' location. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and with it came a terrible choice. Ignore the plea and remain. Safely hidden, or risk everything to help complete strangers. "Get me Admiral Daejung on secure communication," she commanded, "and prep the ready fleet for immediate departure."
Tell them to load for war. Ma'am, are we really going to?
Lieutenant G1 interrupted, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Someone just asked humanity for help. We've never been the kind of species to turn our backs on those in need. Today won't be the first time." As alarms began sounding throughout the facility, Colonel G1 stared at the star chart and whispered a prayer for the aliens who had trusted their lives to Earth's response. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn what happened when peaceful beings called upon humanity's warriors for protection. The hunt was about to begin. Admiral Daejong felt the familiar vibration of the thunderstrike dropping out of hyperspace. But nothing could have prepared him for the scene that greeted them. The massive battleship's sensors immediately locked onto 4 vessels hanging in the void, one clearly damaged and drifting. The other 3 circling like sharks around a wounded seal. "Sweet mother of... ... whispered Lieutenant Commander Jinho. From the navigation station, his voice trailing off as the tactical display updated with size comparisons. The alien raiders were absolutely massive, each one dwarfing even Earth's largest destroyers. Admiral Daejong had commanded fleets through 3 major conflicts and countless smaller skirmishes, but this was different. This wasn't just first contact with alien life. This was humanity's first real test on the galactic stage. Behind him stood the finest crew Earth could assemble. But they were about to face technology and enemies they knew nothing about. "Sir, the damaged vessel is hailing us," Communications Officer Sa Young announced, her fingers dancing across her console as she worked to establish a clear connection. "I'm running it through our translation matrix now." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a face that was both alien and strangely familiar. The being had the basic humanoid structure, but with features that seemed stretched and refined. His silver skin caught the bridge lighting, giving him an otherworldly appearance that somehow conveyed both intelligence and desperation. "Unknown vessels," the alien began, his voice carrying a musical quality that the translation software rendered into perfect Korean. "I am Captain Velinor of the research ship Harmony's Promise. Are you? Are you responding to our distress?" Call Admiral Daejong stepped forward, his posture straight and commanding. "This is Admiral Daejong of the Earth Defense Force. We received your SOS signal and came as quickly as possible. What's your current situation?" Captain Velinor's expression shifted from cautious hope to amazement. "You came across the void. To help complete strangers?" His voice carried disbelief, as if such an action was unthinkable in his experience. "Korthok raiders disabled our engines 47 minutes ago," Velinor continued urgently. "They're preparing to board and take my crew, your species. You actually traveled this far to aid others you've never met?" Commander Taeho, Earth's finest tactical officer, leaned over his console and spoke quietly to Admiral Daejong. "Sir, Sensors show the hostile vessels are moving into boarding formation. Each ship is carrying approximately 800 life forms, and their weapon signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Darjong nodded grimly. The situation was clear. Peaceful researchers were about to be slaughtered or enslaved by predatory aliens, and Earth's fleet was their only hope. Captain Minjun, he called to his second-in-command aboard the cruiser Steel Vengeance. Signal all vessels. Battle stations. Combat Formation Delta 7. We're going to show these raiders what happens when they threaten innocents in our neighborhood. The response was immediate. Across the human fleet, klaxons blared as crews raced to their positions. Weapon systems that had been designed to fight Earth's wars were now being brought to bear against alien threats. The Thunderstrike S massive. Railguns swiveled toward the enemy vessels while her escort ships spread into attack formation. Dr. Yunji, the fleet's chief xenobiologist and alien technology specialist, worked frantically at her station. Her job was to analyze any new life forms or technologies they encountered, but what she was seeing made her blood run cold. "Admiral," she called out, her voice tight with concern, "I'm reading massive biological signatures on those ships. Life forms are huge. Each one appears to be at least 3 meters tall and heavily muscled. And, sir, their ship designs. Everything about them screams predator. Those aren't exploration vessels or even standard warships. They're built for terror and intimidation." On the tactical display, the Korthok ships loomed like mechanical nightmares. Their hulls were black as space itself, covered in spikes and protrusions that served no apparent function except to inspire fear. Weapon ports dotted their surfaces like the eyes of some cosmic spider, each one capable of delivering devastating firepower. Gunnery Chief Sang Wook studied the enemy vessels through his targeting systems. "Sir, those aren't just weapons, they're statements. Everything about these ships is designed to make their victims give up before the fight even starts." Admiral Dejong smiled grimly, an expression his crew knew well from their previous battles. "Then they're about to learn that humans don't scare easily. Dr. Yunji, what can you tell me about their technology?" "Their ships appear to be older designs, sir. Powerful but not sophisticated. Detecting energy signatures that suggest they rely on brute force rather than advanced tactics. They've probably been bullying weaker species for so long they've forgotten how to fight real opponents." Captain Velenor's voice crackled through the communications again. "Earth vessels, you should flee while you can. Korthok are savage. Beyond imagination, they show no mercy. Take no prisoners except as slaves. Your ships are smaller than theirs. You cannot hope to match their firepower." Darjung looked at the alien captain's concerned face and felt a surge of respect. Even facing death, this being was trying to protect the strangers who had come to help him. Captain Velenor Deyung replied calmly. "You called for help, and Earth answered. We don't abandon those who need protection, and we certainly don't run from bullies. You're about to see why humanity earned its place among the stars." Lieutenant Saw Young suddenly straightened at her station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead raider vessel. Audio only, and it's unpleasant." The bridge filled with a sound like grinding metal mixed with an animal's growl. When the translation came through, the words were simple but chilling. "Small vessels, you will depart immediately or be destroyed. The prey belongs to the Crimson Fang. This is your only warning." The communication cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Admiral Dejung looked around at his crew, men and women who had volunteered to defend Earth and now found themselves defending strangers in the depths of space. "All ships," he said into his fleet communicator, his voice carrying across the human formation, weapons free. "Remember your training, remember your duty, and remember that today we represent not just Earth, but the idea that the strong should protect the weak. Show them how humans fight." As the human fleet moved into attack formation, Captain Velenor watched in amazement from his crippled ship. These beings had traveled vast distances to help people they'd never met, and now they were preparing to fight overwhelming odds without hesitation. "Incredible," he whispered to his crew. "They're actually going to fight for us." The stage was set for humanity's first battle among the stars, and the galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children were far more dangerous than their size suggested. Commander Thexel stood 3 meters tall on the bridge of his flagship. His massive frame covered in the ritual scars that marked him as a veteran of 100 raids. His 4 arms ended in razor-sharp claws that had torn apart countless victims, and his armored hide bore the deep red markings of the Crimson Fang clan. To him, the small human ships approaching looked like children's toys. "Pathetic," he snarled, his voice rumbling through the bridge like an earthquake. His subordinates, equally massive Korthok warriors, nodded in agreement. These new prey are even smaller than the Zalani. Their ships would fit inside our cargo holds. War leader Grathic, Dexel's second command, studied the human formation. "Through the tactical display, Commander? Should we even bother taking prisoners? Their vessels appear too small to carry valuable cargo or slaves." Thexul's laugh was like the sound of breaking bones. "We'll destroy their ships first, then pick through the wreckage. Perhaps we'll find some interesting technology to compensate for their worthless crew." He raised one massive arm, signaling his weapons officers. "All ships, open fire. Show these insects the price of interfering with Korthok business." The 3 raider ships unleashed their fury simultaneously. Massive plasma cannons designed to crack open asteroid fortresses fired in unison, sending streams of superheated energy toward the human fleet. The Korthok had used these same weapons to destroy countless peaceful vessels, and Nexel expected the same result now. But the human ships didn't explode. Instead, they seemed to dance through the incoming fire there. Smaller size allowing them incredible maneuverability. Where the plasma bolts did connect, strange energy barriers flickered around the human vessels, absorbing damage that should have vaporized them instantly. Aboard the Thunderstrike, the bridge shook violently as enemy fire struck their shields. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, but the crew remained calm and focused. Lieutenant Byung-ho, the ship's defensive systems officer, called out readings with professional composure. "Direct hit on forward shields, sir. Shield integrity at 80% and holding." Their weapons are powerful but unfocused, more like hammers than surgical instruments. Admiral Daejeon gripped his command chair as another blast rocked the ship. His experienced eye analyzed the enemy fire patterns, noting the crude but brutal approach. They're used to overwhelming weaker opponents with raw power. Return fire, all weapons. Target their primary weapon systems first. The human response was swift and devastating. Where the Korthok fired massive, slow-moving plasma bolts designed to terrify their enemies, the humans unleashed precise railgun rounds and focused energy beams. Captain Minchun's cruiser Steelwolf proved why it bore that name, diving between the larger enemy ships with predatory grace. "This is Steelwolf," Minchun's voice crackled over the fleet communications. "I'm seeing weak points in their armor plating. These ships are built for intimidation, not real combat. Moving to exploit their blind spots." The Steelwolf twisted through space like a living thing, its plasma cannons firing in controlled bursts that found gaps in the Korthok armor. Each shot was calculated and precise, targeting weapon systems, shield generators, and engine components. With surgical accuracy, Commander Tejo coordinated the human attack from his tactical station aboard the Thunderstrike. His fingers danced over holographic displays as he painted targets for the entire fleet. "Sir, their defensive systems are collapsing faster than our projections indicated. These aren't military-grade shields. They're designed to stop merchant vessels and unarmed transports." Admiral Daejung's expression grew grim as he realized the truth. Because they're pirates, not warriors. They've spent so long preying on the defenseless that they've forgotten how to fight real soldiers. All ships implement wolfpack formation. Show them what apex predators look like. Human fleet transformed before the Korthak's eyes. Where moments before they had seen small, insignificant vessels, now they faced a coordinated hunting pack. The ships moved with deadly precision, each one covering the others as they closed in for the kill. Lieutenant Colonel Jinwoo commanded the destroyer Razor's Edge, the smallest ship in the human formation, but arguably the most dangerous. Vessel darted through the enemy formation like a steel shark, its weapons finding critical weak points that larger ships had missed. Razor's Edge to Fleet Command, Jinwoo reported calmly as his ship carved through enemy armor. I've found their reactor housing. Initiating attack run. The Razor's Edge dove beneath the first Korthok ship, its main guns targeting the massive vessel's power core. The concentrated fire punched through layers of armor that had seemed impenetrable moments before. When the reactor finally breached, explosion lit up space like a newborn star. The Xul watched in horror as his flagship sister ship vanished in a ball of plasma. Impossible, he roared. They're insects. How can insects destroy a ship? Of the Crimson Fang, the second Korthok vessel, commanded by War Captain Morgeth, tried desperately to ram the human formation. It was a classic Korthok tactic, use their superior size and mass to crush smaller opponents. But instead of scattering in panic, the human ships converged on the charging raider. 3 cruisers opened fire simultaneously, their combined firepower overwhelming the enemy's forward shields. The ramming ship's hull split open like a ripe fruit, its massive bulk tumbling helplessly through space as secondary explosions tore it apart from within. 2 ships down, reported Weapons Officer Kyung-min from his station. Third vessel is attempting to withdraw. But the humans weren't finished. Captain Sojin's frigate Lightning Strike had been waiting for exactly this moment. As the final Korthok ship tried to escape, she led her squadron in a flanking maneuver that cut off their retreat. Exel felt fear for the first time in his life. His human weapons pounded his ship's failing defenses. His bridge crew, veteran raiders who had terrorized peaceful species across the galaxy, cowered as their instruments exploded around them. Commander War Leader Grathic gasped, blood streaming from a head wound. Our weapons are offline. The engines are failing. These humans, they fight like nothing I've ever seen. Dexel looked at the tactical display showing his burning fleet and the intact human vessels closing in for the final strike. These weren't merchants or researchers to be easily intimidated. These were hunters, and he had made the fatal mistake of becoming their prey. Open all channels, he commanded, his pride crumbling along with his ship. This is Commander Xul of the Crimson Fang. We surrender. We yield to the human fleet. The words felt like poison in his mouth, but survival trumped honor when, facing such overwhelming skill, Captain Velinor watched the entire battle from his crippled research vessel. His crew gathered around him in stunned silence. In less than 10 minutes, the humans had completely destroyed a Korthok raiding fleet that should have been unstoppable. How? Whispered Science Officer Mirlin. They're so small compared to the raiders. Size doesn't matter when you know how. To fight, Velinor replied, his respect for these unknown aliens growing with each passing moment. They didn't just attack, they hunted. Every move was calculated, every shot placed with precision. Dr. Yunji's excited voice cut through the bridge communications aboard the Thunderstrike. Admiral, I'm detecting massive communications traffic across multiple frequencies. Ships throughout this sector are broadcasting news of the battle. Word is spreading fast. Admiral Dejung looked at the surrendering Korthok vessel and the rescued alien researchers. Earth's first battle among the stars was over, but he suspected it was only the beginning of something much larger. The Galactic Council Chamber was a marvel of engineering that spanned nearly a kilometer in diameter. It's crystalline, dome offering a breathtaking view of Nexus Prime's twin suns. Representatives from 47 different species filled the curved seating arrangements, each delegation positioned according to ancient protocols that had governed galactic diplomacy for over 3,000 years. Today, that ancient order was about to be shattered forever. Captain Velinor stood at the central podium, his silver skin reflecting the chamber's soft lighting as he finished recounting the battle that had saved his crew. The silence that followed was deafening. Not the respectful quiet of attentive listeners, but the stunned hush of beings trying to process something impossible. Counselor Zafani was the first to break the silence. Her crystalline form pulsed with colors that indicated deep shock among her people. Captain Velinor, you're asking us to believe that these humans destroyed 3 Korthok battlecruisers in under 10 minutes. Her voice carried harmonics that made the translation seem musical. 8 minutes and 43 seconds, Velinor. Corrected, I timed it myself. They did it while protecting my crew, beings they had never met before, from a species they had never encountered. Counselor Thelmox of the Aquatic Collective leaned forward in his specialized water-filled environment suit. This cannot be accurate. The Korthok ships you describe are massive vessels. Our own military estimates suggest it would take a full battle fleet to engage even one such ship. Velinor activated his personal recorder, projecting holographic images of the battle above the chamber floor. The assembled delegates watched in stunned silence as the human ships moved through space with deadly precision. Their smaller size allowing incredible agility while their weapons carved through Korthok. Armor like paper, Ambassador Jehoon sat quietly at the human delegation table, observing the reactions around him. At 45, he was Earth's most experienced diplomat, chosen specifically for this historic first contact mission. His military advisor, Colonel Hyjin, maintained perfect military bearing despite the curious stares from dozens of alien species. Dr. Sumin, their cultural specialist, took careful notes on each species' reaction patterns. High Counselor Morden, eldest member of the council at over 4 centuries old, finally spoke. His ancient voice carried the weight of millennia of galactic history. Ambassador Jehoon of Earth, your species presents us with a puzzle. Most civilizations require centuries to develop reliable space travel. According to our scouts, your people achieved faster-than-light capability in mere decades and immediately began constructing warships. Why? Jehoon stood slowly, his movements measured and diplomatic. Honorable counselors, the answer is simple: necessity. Our world taught us early that peace is a precious thing that must be protected by those strong enough to defend it. Your world. Asked Counselor Rindle of the plant-based consortium, her photosynthetic skin shifting to curious yellow patterns. Tell us about this Earth. Dr. Suman rose and activated the human delegation's holographic projector. The chamber filled with images that made several delegates recoil in horror. A massive tiger stalking through jungle undergrowth. A great white shark breaching the ocean surface. A volcanic eruption that could level mountains. Massive storms that could flatten entire cities. Humans evolved on what we call a death world, Dr. Suman explained calmly. Our planet is home to creatures that exist solely to hunt and kill. We shared our world with predators that could tear apart our early ancestors with ease. Natural disasters regularly wiped out entire populations. Disease, famine, extreme weather, everything on Earth seemed designed to eliminate human life. The hologram shifted to show early human tribes working together to hunt mammoth-sized creatures. Using primitive weapons and coordinated tactics to bring down prey 10 times their size, we survived by becoming something our world had never seen. Before, Dr. Suman continued, persistence hunters, pack animals with intelligence. We learned to use tools, to plan, to coordinate our attacks with deadly precision. Most importantly, we learned that the strong have a duty to protect the weak. Counselor Valtrex of the Mining Worlds Federation shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Korthok have terrorized our shipping lanes for decades. Our peacekeeping forces have proven ... inadequate against their aggression. They attack our cargo vessels, enslave our crews, and disappear into the void before we can respond. Colonel Hyjin requested permission to speak and stood with military precision. Counselors, the Korthok succeed because they prey on species that have forgotten how to fight. They're bullies who rely on fear and intimidation. But bullies fold quickly when they encounter real opposition. What exactly are you suggesting? Asked Counselor Nethgar of the Crystal Domains, his geometric form shifting to display concerned patterns. We're not suggesting anything, Ambassador Jehoon replied. We're offering partnership. Earth is willing to help maintain peace in this galaxy, but we won't be hired soldiers or attack dogs. We'll protect the innocent and preserve freedom. Nothing more, nothing less. The chamber erupted in discussion as delegates conferred with their advisors in dozens of different languages. Some species seemed excited by the prospect of having such powerful protectors. Others appeared terrified at the idea of sharing the galaxy with such efficient predators. Counselor Morden raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Jehoon, what would Earth require for such partnership? Your people have demonstrated remarkable military capability. Surely you desire something in return. Knowledge, Jae-hoon answered immediately. Cultural exchange. Trade agreements that benefit everyone. We want to learn from your civilizations and share what we've discovered. We want to explore this incredible galaxy alongside species who've been doing it for thousands of years. And if we refuse your offer? Asked Counselor Zathani bluntly. The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Jae-hoon considered his response. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but carried clearly to every corner of the vast space. Then we'll still protect those who need protection. The difference is whether we do it with your blessing or despite your objections. Captain Velinor called for help, and Earth answered, that won't change regardless of political decisions made in this chamber. Dr. Suman added another holographic display showing human rescue. Operations throughout Earth's history. This is who we are, counselors. When someone calls for help, humans respond. It's not a political choice or a calculated decision, it's simply what we do. Counselor Rindle's photosynthetic patterns shifted to deep contemplation colors. Jor, saying that your species would risk war with the entire Galactic Council to protect strangers? Colonel Hedgen's smile was neither threatening nor reassuring. It was simply honest. Counselor, we've been fighting impossible odds our entire existence. Our home world tried to kill us every single day, and we not only survived but thrived. We're not looking for war, but we're not afraid of it either. The implications hung heavy in the chamber air. Here was a species that had proven capable of defeating enemies that had terrorized the galaxy for decades. They were offering to use that strength to protect the weak, but they were also making it clear that their protection would come whether the Council approved or not. High Counselor Morden looked around the chamber at his fellow delegates, seeing fear, hope, suspicion, and wonder in equal measure. We will need time to consider this proposal. Such decisions cannot be made hastily. Of course, Ambassador Jae-hoon replied diplomatically, but while you're considering, please remember that there are cargo ships traveling through Korthok territory right now. Peaceful researchers exploring dangerous sectors, colony ships carrying families to new worlds. Every day you delay is another day those people face threats without protection. As the session adjourned, delegates filed out in small groups, their conversations focused on a single question. Had they just encountered the galaxy's greatest hope for peace? Or its most dangerous threat? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, the galaxy would never be the same. President Dong Haen stood at the podium in the Grand Assembly Hall of Seoul, his image being broadcast simultaneously to every corner of Earth and across the vast reaches of space to alien worlds humanity had only recently discovered. Behind him, the heroes of First Contact stood in perfect formation, Admiral Dae-jung, whose tactical brilliance had saved an alien crew, Colonel Hae-jin, who had helped negotiate Earth's place among the stars, and Dr. Yoonji, whose scientific expertise had unlocked the secrets of galactic civilization. The weight of history pressed down on his shoulders as he looked out at the assembled representatives of Earth's nations, knowing that billions of humans and trillions of alien beings were hanging on his every word. Citizens of Earth, honored members of the Galactic Council, President Dong Haen began, his voice carrying clearly through the quantum communication networks that now linked worlds across the galaxy. 6 months ago, we believed we were alone in the universe. Today, we face a choice that will echo through the ages, not just for humanity, but for every peaceful species that calls this galaxy home. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council chambers had been expanded beyond their original capacity to accommodate the historic moment. Species that had never before attended council sessions now filled every available space, their curiosity about Earth's decision overriding ancient protocols. Captain Velinor sat in the section reserved for honored guests, still marveling at how his desperate distress call had changed the fate of the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council has formally requested Earth's protection, President Dong Haen continued, his words translated into hundreds of alien languages simultaneously. They offer us full membership in galactic civilization, access to technologies that could advance our species by centuries, and trade agreements that would bring prosperity beyond our wildest dreams. In return, they ask us to become the shield that protects the innocent from those who would do them harm. The camera shifted to show General Sungmin, Earth's supreme military commander, stepping forward with the bearing of a soldier who had seen combat across 3 continents. His uniform bore the decorations of a dozen campaigns, but today he wore them not as symbols of conquest, but as proof of his dedication to protecting those who could not protect themselves. "We accept this sacred responsibility," General Sungmin declared, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to making life-and-death decisions, "but we do so on our terms. Human Defense Corps units will be established throughout the galaxy, ready to respond to any threat against peaceful worlds. We will share our military knowledge with allied species, helping them develop their own defensive capabilities so they need never again face extinction alone." The general's expression hardened as he addressed the concerns that had been whispered in diplomatic circles across the galaxy. "But let there be no mistake about our intentions. We will not become the galaxy's enforcers of unjust laws. We will not oppress the weak or impose our will on others. Our strength exists for one purpose only: to ensure that bullies like the Korthok never again terrorize innocent beings." President Dong Hein resumed his position at the podium, his next words carrying a weight that would be remembered for millennia. "To those who would threaten peace, know this: Earth's children now stand guard. We have tasted the void between stars and found it no more frightening than the challenges we faced on our home world. We have seen what happens when good people do nothing, and we have chosen to act." The transmission cut to scenes of human ships departing Earth's orbital stations, their hulls bearing the newly created Earth Defense Corps insignia, a simple design showing a protective hand shielding, smaller figures surrounded by stars. These vessels carried humanity's finest warriors to posts across the galaxy, ready to answer any call for help. 6 months after that historic broadcast, Commander Young Soo led his Defense Corps team through the twisted corridors of a captured pirate station. The structure had been built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, its maze-like passages designed to confuse and trap anyone foolish enough to board. But the pirates had never faced human soldiers trained in urban warfare. "Sector 7 clear," reported Corporal Minho through the comm, his voice calm despite the fierce fighting they had just concluded. "Down 12 Zilani civilians in the holding cells. They're scared but unharmed." "Sector 9 secured," added Sergeant Sujin from her position deeper in the station. "All hostiles neutralized. The bastards won't be raiding anyone else ever again." Commander Youngsu allowed himself a grim smile as he surveyed the captured station. The slavers who had terrorized the Outer Rim territories had learned too late that their victims now had protectors willing to track them across the galaxy. "All teams, prepare for extraction. 8. Let's get these people home to their families." Meanwhile, aboard the orbital command station above Earth, Admiral Dayung studied the tactical displays showing Defense Corps' operations across the galaxy. The numbers told a story that filled him with quiet pride. Pirate attacks had dropped by 70% in the past 6 months. The Korthak, once the terror of peaceful species, had retreated to their home systems and had not launched a single raid since their encounter with human forces. Dr. Yoonji, wearing the insignia of Director of Galactic Relations, entered the command center with a datapad full of the latest intelligence reports. Her role had evolved from simple xenobiologist to one of the most important positions in human government, coordinating Earth's response to threats across the galaxy. "Admiral, we have requests for Defense Corps assistance from 12 new systems this week," she reported, her tone mixing satisfaction with concern. "The word is spreading faster than we can deploy our forces." "What's our current response capability?" Da Jung asked, knowing that Earth's resources, while impressive, were not infinite. "Commander Teho is leading a task force to the Antares sector to deal with a new pirate alliance that's formed there. Captain Inho has taken his squadron to the Rim territories where some aggressive species are testing our resolve. We're stretched thin, but holding the line." Admiral Dejong nodded, turning to gaze out at the stars through the command center's massive viewport. Scattered across those distant suns were human ships and human crews, standing guard over worlds they had never seen before. Humanity answered that first, desperate call for help. It was exactly what Earth's people had always done throughout their history: protect those who could not protect themselves, regardless of the personal cost. On Nexus Prime, in the beautifully maintained gardens that overlooked the galactic capital, Captain Velinor walked alongside High Counselor Morden. The ancient being moved slowly, but his mind remained sharp as he contemplated the changes that had swept across their civilization. Captain Velinor Morden said thoughtfully, "Do you ever wonder if you made the right choice that day? Your distress call has fundamentally altered the balance of power in our galaxy." Velinor paused to watch a group of Human Defense Corps soldiers training alongside Zilani security forces. The sight would have been impossible to imagine just months earlier, beings from different worlds working together, sharing knowledge and building the friendships that would define the galaxy's future. "Never," Velinor replied without hesitation. "We called for help in our darkest hour, and Earth's children answered. Look around you, Counselor. When was the last time you heard reports of merchant vessels being attacked? When did colony ships last require military escorts? The galaxy is safer because humanity chose to be our protectors rather than our conquerors." Morden nodded slowly, his ancient eyes reflecting centuries of accumulated wisdom. "And if humanity ever chooses differently, if they decide that ruling, the galaxy would be easier than protecting it." Velinor considered the question seriously before answering. "Then we will face that challenge when it comes. But I have studied human history, Counselor. They have had the power to dominate our worlds for months now. Their technology, their military capability, their strategic thinking, any one of these advantages could have made them galactic emperors. Instead, they chose to be guardians. That choice tells me everything I need to know about human character." As the twin suns of Nexus Prime set behind the crystal spires of the capital city, the galaxy settled into another peaceful night. Across the vast reaches of space, on ships bearing the Earth Defense Corps insignia, human men and women stood their watch. They were the children of a death world, apex predators who had evolved from the most dangerous planet in known space. But they had chosen to use their deadly skills to protect rather than to conquer, to shield the innocent rather than to rule the weak. In the depths of space, new threats would always emerge. Aggressive species would test humanity's resolve. Pirates and slavers would seek new hunting grounds, but they would find their path blocked by Earth's guardians, ready to remind the galaxy that some lines could never be crossed. The universe was vast and filled with wonders beyond imagination. And now, for the first time in galactic history, the innocent could explore those wonders without fear, knowing that somewhere among the stars, humanity stood watch. The end.